to the Arctic webinar for travel consultants. It's now 2 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to get started. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Carolyn Barnett with Lindblad Expeditions and National Geographic. We're so glad you could join us for our webinar on the Arctic today. A few notes before we get started. Whether you selected phone audio or mic and speakers, we ask you not to change your settings during the webinar as it may disconnect you. If you do get disconnected for any reason, simply go back to your email and re-enter the webinar through the link provided. Throughout the webinar, you may have questions. We've dedicated 10 minutes at the end of the presentation for questions. When you think of one, type it in the question box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to get to all of them. And I apologize ahead of time if we can't get to all of your questions. Also, we'll be recording this webinar, so you'll receive an email in the next couple of days if you want to watch it again before an expedition or send it to a friend. Before I hand over the webinar to our special guest presenter, I'd like to tell you a bit about Lindblad's heritage. Lars Erik Lindblad pioneered expedition travel in the mid-1960s, bringing the first non-scientific travelers on expeditions to destinations such as Galapagos and Antarctica. His son and our founder, Sven Lindblad, has continued this legacy of expedition travel. And in 2004, we entered into a strategic partnership with National Geographic, a collaboration in exploration, discovery, and conservation to inspire our guests to explore and care about the planet. Our alliance with National Geographic allows our guests to benefit from NG experts and photographers on board. And of course, the stars of our expeditions are the National Geographic Explorer and our incredibly knowledgeable and exceptional expedition team, who comprise the best ice team on Earth with a variety of standouts, such as naturalists, undersea specialists, and of course, a National Geographic photographer. And now I'm delighted to introduce today's presenter, Michael S. Nolan. Michael is a naturalist and award-winning photographer whose photos have appeared in countless mediums across the world. He's also a master diver who has traveled the world's oceans. He's a veteran traveler to the Arctic, and we are privileged to have him sharing his insight and experiences here today. Michael, are you ready to take it away?
I am, Carolyn. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As Carolyn said, my name is Michael Nolan, and I just want to start out by saying I am not a marketing expert. I am a biologist. I am a naturalist. I'm a professional photographer for over 30 years now, traveling the world, taking pictures of amazing places. And this marks my 10th year with Lindblad Expeditions. Thank you very much for taking the time to stop in here, and hopefully we're going to pick up a lot of information as you go to talk to your own guests, your own travelers about these programs. And we're going to be talking this evening about 4 specific programs on offer in 2014 by Lindblad Expeditions and National Geographic. Those 4 programs are going to be the Svalbard, the land of the ice bears. We have that on offer 3 times in the summer of 2014. Beginning on June 6th, June 13th, and June 20th. We'll also be talking about the circumnavigation of Iceland being offered 2 times in the summer of 2014, and that'll be July 12th and July 20th. And then we're very excited this year, for the very first time for the National Geographic Explorer, we are going to do the Northwest Passage. And we're going to do the northern route starting on July 28th, and we're going to come back west to east on the southern route and finish up in Newfoundland and Labrador beginning on August 19th. So let's talk about each of these 4 areas and what's exciting about them and what you'll be able to impart to your own travelers. So we'll start out with Svalbard, and just where the heck is Svalbard and what is it? Very few people know about Svalbard. It's part of Norway, but as you can see by the chart, it is a long way from Norway. It's in the very high Arctic. It starts at 74 degrees north and runs to 81 degrees north. It's an archipelago of islands, 4 large islands and many, many small islands. And it's only 600 nautical miles from the North Pole. It is, in fact, the highest place on our planet, the northernmost place on our planet, that you can reliably get to via commercial jet. And this has to do with the warming of the Gulf Stream. The warm waters of the Gulf Stream leave North America, travel over to Europe, and end the last little bit of warm water keeps Longyearbyen, the town in Svalbard, totally open year-round so that we can fly there. So it is home to some of the greatest landscapes, but most importantly for us, it is a place that is chock-a-block full of polar bears, about 3,000 of them. And that's what our trip is going to be about, is polar bears, or ice bears, as they're known in Norway. Now, there are only 5 countries in the world that have polar bear populations. And I've been to 4 out of 5 of them looking at and guiding to see polar bears. And I have to tell you, Svalbard is the place for polar bears. You get polar bears in their natural habitat. You have a lot of polar bears. They're on ice. They're clean. They're in the ocean. They're not on land and in mud and dirty. These polar bears are out in their natural habitat, open ocean. And we often get to see them doing their like hunting. We get to see all types of bears, adult bears. We get to see moms with cubs and babies. The National Geographic Explorer is the perfect platform to watch bears from. The way the ship is designed and the way the ship is built, we can push through ice like we're doing in this shot right here. We're pushing through first-year sea ice to get in close to bears. We're parking in the ice, letting the bears' natural curiosity bring them to us. And this is a shot of an adult male polar bear leaping from ice floe to ice floe, and you can see we are right there. I mean, we're right next to the bear. We're nice and safe on the ship. The bear isn't too close to us. We're not too close to the bear, and oftentimes their curiosity will bring them right to us. So the ice bears, polar bears, exceptional from the National Geographic Explorer. And I mentioned that we get to see all types of bears. We get to see bears feeding. We get to see bears attempting kills. We get to see them hunting. And here we get to see a mother with 2 cubs and total curiosity about the ship. She's on moving ice, and her cubs are here with her, and they are as curious about us as we are about them. From a photography perspective, and remember that I'm a photographer, and that's going to be a lot of what I'll be talking about, the bears are exceptional here. Now, it's not just bears in Svalbard. I mean, we call it the ice bear trip, but there are a lot of other animals. And one of the most interesting ones are walrus. Walrus were taken to the brink of commercial extinction in the middle of the 20th century, and they've been slowly making a comeback in Svalbard. We often stop at areas like this where we've got walrus males, bachelors, hauled out on the beach in huge numbers, tens and hundreds even sometimes, hauled out on the beach. They're thermoregulating, they're next to each other. But what's really exciting in Svalbard recently is not only male walrus, not only the bachelor walrus, but we're starting to see an influx of mothers with their calves. And this is exciting because this is coming to us from Russia, actually, from Franz Josef Land. We are seeing more and more newborn calves in Svalbard, and the population of walrus, which are now protected, are on the increase. And so we're seeing more and more of them every year, and we're starting to see scenes like this, newborn baby walrus in and around Svalbard, in addition to those bachelor herds, the big groups. Other animals that we might see, including in addition to walrus, we have seals. And in Svalbard, there are 4 types of seals that we commonly see. What you're looking at now is a bearded seal, the largest of the seal members. This guy runs about 800 pounds. This is a really large animal. Photographically, we get to get right next to these, because we often are out looking in our zodiacs. So we're right at water level, and we can get a look at them. Now, here's something kind of fun to wrap your head around with seals. Think of this. In Svalbard, every polar bear is trying to make a living catching a seal, and every seal is trying to keep from being caught by a polar bear. So it's just a wonderful dance that we get to watch and see and visit from the ship. Another animal that we see quite frequently and very curious as well is the Svalbard reindeer. Now, reindeer are unique to the Northern Hemisphere as far as wild reindeer go. There are 5 subpopulations or subspecies of reindeer, but they're all the same species. Svalbard has the smallest reindeer, but it's often very, very curious. This shot was just taken, I just took this shot 2 months ago in Svalbard, where we literally just stopped and kind of stopped walking, and these young reindeer came right up to us. And so a high degree of curiosity in reindeer. We see reindeer very, very commonly, and they are very curious as well. So in addition to reindeer, we've got incredible bird life, and Svalbard just has an awful lot to offer. It's a pretty amazing place. We'll be talking a little bit more about the wildlife a little bit later. Now, the second trips that we're going to be offering in summer 2014 is the circumnavigation of Iceland. Again, remember, 2 trips starting July 12th and July 20th. Looking at the chart, you can see we come in and out of Reykjavik. We go all the way around the island. And the nice thing about the circumnavigation is we're going to get to see it all. We're going to get to see the wildlife. We're going to get to see the volcanic activity. We're going to get to see all the geothermal activity, the incredible cliffs. We're also going to have good shots of whales and amazing bird life. So it's a pretty in-depth trip in terms of it has a lot of variety to it. We're seeing a lot of different things. And as we go around, I would tell you one of the things for me when I think about Iceland, I think about puffins. And I think about being able to see puffins and get close to them. And several of our stops, and this is the perfect time for the Atlantic puffin to be in its breeding plumage, and it's just beautifully adorned with that red and orange bill, the sheath of the bill, and we've got great photographic opportunities for puffins. But we'll also see other things in addition to puffins. We'll be able to see a lot of whales, especially along the northern coast. Humpback whales, in particular like this one, are making a comeback in Iceland. There's a whole industry around Husavik now to go and see whales, but we'll see them from our ship. And we're hoping for close encounters, and we've been getting more and more whale encounters in Iceland as the whales are making a comeback. In the North Atlantic, they're coming back at a rate of about 9% a year. They're really, really doing well. Now, of course, Iceland is all about the geothermal activity. From a geology perspective, it is phenomenal, and we will go ashore and see this. We'll have hikes to be able to see amazing things like the boiling mud pots and geysers and all of the things that Iceland has to offer that are so exciting geothermically. And we'll have plenty of chance for that. We'll also go to Maivatn, we'll go to glaciers. So we see a lot of the nature by foot and hiking as well. So this will be an incredible trip, a great opportunity. It's a 10-day run all the way around the island of Iceland and concentrating on all aspects of it. The next trip we're really, really excited about. You know, Lindblad Expeditions, the National Geographic Explorer, launched on August 6, 2008 in Greenland. Since that time, we've been working around Greenland, but we've been continuously pushing west. And for the first time in 2014, National Geographic Explorer is going to do the Northwest Passage. Now remember the Northwest Passage, as you look at this chart, this is the favorite way to link the Atlantic. It was first attempted in 1996, and it wasn't successfully done until 1906. And we just now, in 2007, had the first commercial ship go through as this passage is opening up. So we're very excited to do this. And this summer, in 2013, the first half of what you see here on your chart, all the way up to Devon Island. So the trip is going to start in Iceland, start in Reykjavik, go to southern Greenland. It will scooch up along the coast, the western coast of southern Greenland, including Ilulissat and Disco Islands. Those areas, Ilulissat, that glacier, Jakobshavn, is the most active glacier in the world. It's launching 100 feet of face of that glacier every single day, creating huge icebergs and great ice opportunities. They're going to cross Baffin Bay and go through the fabled Northwest Passage. It really is exciting, and it's a first for us with the National Geographic Explorer. So we're really excited about this trip in particular. Along southern Greenland, we'll see beautiful little towns like this, highly colorful, decorated towns like Sisimiut, where we'll get out and walk around locals and just enjoy that. But also there will be a lot of wildlife on the trip. It will be a lot of towns, but when you think of Greenland and on over into the high Canadian Arctic, it's about the ice. Remember, all those glaciers are capping all of those huge, monstrously huge icebergs out into Baffin Bay, down back coming into the North Atlantic. It was from this area that the iceberg that sank the Titanic actually came from. So huge icebergs, and we get a lot of time on our Zodiacs out amongst the ice And look how low level that sun is. We have low level sun.
Be careful when you go in there.
That's beautiful.
Noise.
In addition to the ice cruising around in Greenland and throughout the high Canadian Arctic, I have to tell you that our walks ashore will be just marvelous. Here we're on Greenland and we're looking at the river beauty, which is Greenland's national flower. But we have plenty of time to get out on the tundra and walk amongst the beauty of this. Look at this shot. There's not a tree in here in the high Arctic tundra. We're there when flowers are blooming, when the tundra is alive. It's beautiful to go ashore and walk at these places. In addition to the flora and the fauna, other things, now we're going to look at the Northwest Passage coming west to east. This will be the southern route. So this trip will be on offer starting August 19th. And we'll start in Nunavut in Canada. And as you go where we head to, we're going to do the southern route coming through, even through a small strait called Fury and Hecla. Now we're later into the season. We're in late August and we're into early September. And so we're at the very end of the summer, and this is when these southern reaches have opened up. And the ice has opened up and we'll come in. And as you can see, we come all the way down to St. John's, all the way down into Labrador. This particular run will be just phenomenal for all of the different scenic views of going through these very, very tight and narrow straits. Now later in the season, remember here, we're in late August going into September, we're finally starting to get a couple of hours of darkness at night. Up until this point we weren't. We were in 24 hours of light. But now later in the season, we're very late in summer, we start to get into this area, and we have the northern lights. And we're hoping we can see this. Now, I took this shot just 4 weeks ago from the Explorer, and this is in Kangerlussuaq in Greenland. But we also had them all the way down to Labrador and Newfoundland, so we hope for the aurora. Other highlights of the trip will definitely be the wildlife, the things that we're planning on seeing, things like this, the ring seal. Now, this little guy, this little ring seal, maybe 140 pounds, is the #1 thing that polar bears are trying to eat. And this is a ubiquitous seal. They're everywhere in the high Arctic. We have a lot of ring seals. And what is after them, of course, are polar bears. And we've got polar bears. We did 2 trips this summer, 2013, to the northern Baffin Island. On each of those trips, we had 61 polar bears. And so we've got a lot of polar bears, and this is what one of the highlights of the trip will be. It'll be very different than Svalbard is for polar bears. We have a lot of them. We'll also be going ashore at things 17th, 18th century whaling stations. Here we've got a bowhead whale skull with our group. This is actually down in Labrador. But polar bears will be the whole focus of the trip, and or one of the big focuses of the trip. And what we found is that the polar bears in the high Canadian Arctic almost see nobody, and they're very curious about the ship. This shot was taken on August 13th of this year. These 2 polar bears literally came to our ship as we were parked in the ice, and for 2.5 hours, just great photo opportunities, and just as curious about us as we were about them. So the polar bear viewing opportunities in open ocean and open sea ice are very good indeed here. In addition to the polar bears, have lots of walks on open. I've got to tell you, in the summer, the tundra absolutely comes alive. You can see it in this shot, the purples. I see moss campion in the foreground. I see all sorts of flowering plants here. And it's just beautiful to be out and walking around. Now, we are in polar bear country. We do guided walks while we're ashore. And so each of our staff members will be leading small groups. We'll be sticking pretty close together. We do carry bear deterrents with us. We've got flare guns. We've got high-powered rifles in the event that we need them. But we do everything we can to keep our polar bear viewing from the ship and stay away from polar bears on land and ice when we're walking. In terms of the levels of walks, you can go from a really long walk to just a short photographic walk. Down the beginning of this, we're up in Svalbard, high Greenland. you literally will be in 24 hours of daylight. In Longyearbyen, on Svalbard, the sun comes up on April 19th, and it doesn't go down until August 23rd. There is no sunrise, and there's no sunset. But for photographers, what is amazing is that sun goes 360 degrees around you, is that the angle of light is always low. So you always... I know many of you have solo trips to Antarctica, famous for going to Antarctica. Let me just talk about some of the differences between Antarctica and the Arctic, as I'm sure many of your guests will ask you about that. The diversity of the Arctic wildlife is much greater than what we see in Antarctica. Let's just look at a couple of comparisons. For example, 165 plant species on the tundra in the Arctic. In Antarctica, we have 2 species of vascular plants. Think about all the large animals that live on land in the Arctic. Things like reindeer and Arctic foxes. We classify the polar bear as a marine mammal, but we have a lot of these land mammals. The largest animal in Antarctica is a midge. So every day in the Arctic, we try to get off the ship. We try to go and walk and see and look, and we explore. And we have all the tools to explore with. It may be walking or hiking. It may be with zodiacs. It may be from the ship in the ice. But every day we're out and looking and trying to experience this area. Now, again, I'm a photographer. That's what I love. And most of the people who come to the ship are absolutely hoping to go home with great images. And some of them bring aim and create cameras, the little small cameras, and some of them bring the crazy rig like in the lower left here on the corner shot. But we are prepared to meet you on your photographic journey wherever you are, whether you're a beginner or whether you're far along in your photographic journey. Now, one of the great things about traveling with Lindblad and National Geographic is that on every single expedition aboard the National Geographic Explorer, we have a National Geographic photographer. This is an active National Geographic photographer. It's the cream of the crop. The photographers themselves are vying for positions on the ship. They absolutely love to come out and do these trips. So you will be shooting side by side with an expert photographer, highly published and published in National Geographic. And along with that, you'll have folks like me who are certified photo instructors. And we're there to make sure that we can help you at any level with your cameras. Nowadays, photography will be anything from watching and shooting polar bears from the ship to getting down and dirty in the tundra and working with your macro lenses. And here's a good friend of mine, Kim Hecox, just helping some folks get some great shots of some purple saxifrage. We're in the tundra, which is down nice and low. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to get. Lots of macro opportunities, lots of big opportunities for wildlife, and beautiful scenes as well. We'll be doing photo talks, photo presentations. The ship has dedicated computers, both Mac and PC, for photography where you can download photos, you can look at your photos, you can share your photos. And at the end of every expedition, we will be collecting up images to share with everybody so that we have a photographic remembrance of the trip. It's a gift we'll give ourselves. Everybody will receive that on their own. Here's just some examples of what kind of stuff lies ahead in the high Arctic. This is the Austfauna ice cap, second largest in all of Europe. This is on Nord-Auslandet in Svalbard, and the ship is cruising up right to the face of this ice cap. This beautiful, beautiful opportunity. Polar bears at all levels. And again, I mean, I've guided in many places in the world with polar bears. The high Arctic, Svalbard, Canada in particular, ice bears on ice, not on muddy land. I mean, this is really, really the natural scene of it. Getting in the zodiacs lets us get these close looks at things like walrus. Again, that eye-level shot. We're down close with them. And here's a good look at what the walrus or what the zodiacs look like when we're cruising amongst the ice, and we're getting lots of looks here. So the Arctic, the diversity is intense. It's really, really great. We see a lot of different types of things, and everything from polar bears and seals and walrus. The bird life is off the charts. Brunix guillemots, common guillemots, razorbills, puffins, all of these kind of things. And this is something where we're going to see. So how does a day look? What do we do every single day? Well, if you look on the websites or you look at any of our literature, you'll see that we often say day 2 through 12 exploring such and such a place, because we literally write every single day as the day unfolds. We go to the best place that weather charts and ice charts and sea conditions will allow us to go. So we don't lock in a specific itinerary. We're always looking for the best thing to do. Opportunities arise every day to hike, to kayak, to zodiac. One of those opportunities, or many of them, will be there. And because the light is so long, we can do them very early or very late in the day, and we do that quite often. We also have ice expedition days, where we actually crush through the ice, and we're looking at getting through the ice and just the thrill of being in open ice. But each and every day is going to offer a different opportunity and a different chance to see things. Let's start with the ship. The National Geographic Explorer is the finest ship afloat right now, bar none. I would challenge anybody to come up with a more purpose-built ship for exploration in ice. She is 1A ice strengthened. With 81 cabins, she's been to deep in Antarctica, to high and deep in the Arctic, and all points in between. She launched on August 6, 2008, and she is perfectly suited for what she does. For me as a photographer, when you look at the shot on the left, there are so many different decks and so many different levels and so many different places to photograph from. There's always an opportunity to find a place to see animals as we're viewing them with the ship. So she's perfectly suited for what she does, and she really is the finest expedition ship afloat. Now, on the ship, in addition to the ship, the tools that we have all of the goodies. I've been talking about these Zodiacs. We have a fleet of 12 of them. These are 21-foot military specification Zodiacs with 60 horsepower outboard motors on them, and they are designed to go anywhere. You literally could fill these with water and they don't sink. We won't want to do that, of course, but they're just very, very rugged ships that give us the freedom to go anywhere. And we launch these from the mothership to explore anytime. We can do it even underway. Once we launch the Zodiacs, the beautiful thing is here, what I mentioned before with photography, you end up getting an ocean-level view of things like walrus. So the Zodiacs are just they're our main tool to get out and away, to get the landings, and to run around. Another thing that we have are kayaks. Now, a lot of companies will tell you that they kayak in the Arctic or they kayak in the Antarctic. We do it quite differently. We have 36 double expedition inflatable kayaks. These things are self-bailing, they're stable, and they're just amazing to work. Even if you've never kayaked, they're so simple to use, so steady, and so reliable that people love trying kayaking in the Arctic. Imagine that the first place you ever kayaked was in front of a glacier in the Arctic. Now, other things that we have to enhance the trips on the National Geographic Explorer, we have an undersea specialist who has a whole undersea program. And this consists of high-definition video, remotely operated vehicles. They will be doing dives. They'll be doing plankton tows. We've got video microscopes and hydrophones. And all of these tools, all of these high-tech goodies are so that you can come back, and later in the evening, we're going to show you what's underwater in the places that you've been spending the day at. So you get to see not only the above ocean parts of the high Arctic, you get to see what's below, and just from that day. So pretty amazing that we are getting those tools, and we've got all of the goodies for that. In addition to our undersea specialist, every expedition will have a video chronicler. Now, I cannot believe that these guys and gals do this, but they are going to make and film a documentary movie of our expedition that will be ready for you to depart the ship with. And these are in the order of 40, 45-minute long documentaries. They never use stock footage. Every bit of footage comes from a videographer from that expedition. And it's really nice to go on an expedition and know that you have a professional videographer who's got your back. If you missed the shot of the 3 a.m. polar bear, or you didn't see the calving of the glacier, the video chronicler has it, and it's on the DVD. So a great addition to the trip. Now in the evenings after a full day, we like to unwind a little bit just before dinner, and we have a Lindblad tradition called Recap. And this is where everybody will gather in the lounge. It's a beautiful, beautiful gathering place, lots of room to see and speak and just enjoy and maybe have a cocktail. And this is a time when natural history staff will deepen and broaden your knowledge about the events that happened for the day. We talk about things that happened that day, and when we try to expand upon them a little bit, and this is a great time to ask questions, and yeah, it's a great time just to get together and enjoy just before going to dinner. Now, as far as the ship itself goes, as we mentioned, 81 cabins, she is absolutely top end. She's very, very comfortable, a lot of visibility. Those stabilizers make a huge difference. Remember that the ship is fully stabilized, so she's very comfortable to be in. And yeah, I think you'll find accommodations very wonderful on the ship. As far as food goes, you're just going to have to figure that your guests are going to gain a few pounds. I mean, there's just no way around it. The food is exceptional. In addition to the 3 meals that are offered every day, meals incidentally, which will be interrupted at the drop of a hat. Imagine that you're just getting ready to sit down to dinner, and suddenly we have whales breaching off the bow. Everything is put aside. People run out on the ship to see a polar bear or the whales or whatever it is, and then we come back and resume. But staff also just absolutely spoil us with things like Swedish pancakes at tea time and cookies and cocoa on the Zodiac and half-deck lomitos, and there will be plenty of feeding opportunities. Remember, the food is always optional, but I think you're going to find it to be very, very amazing. So we'll be eating in 3 different places on the ship. We'll have a small group in the chart room, as well as the main dining area and the bistro. One of the nice things about dining is that it is always informal and open seating. No need to dress in tuxes or anything like that. It's very informal. After dinner, one of the places that most everybody loves to hang around is the lounge up at the bar. And if you find that you've been eating a little bit too well and you've really been enjoying that part of it, we have a full-on wellness spa and gym. And you can take advantage of this. We offer treatments, sauna, so you can work off all those scrumptious meals if you feel that you need to. So why would you come to the Arctic with Lindblad? What's the difference between Lindblad and National Geographic and everybody else? Well, you have to start with the ship. She is an amazing ship. She truly is. Fully stabilized, ice belted, totally prepared to go where she's going and to go with what she's doing. One of the things I love in my job are the folks that I work with, the experts in the field, the geologists, the ornithologists, the biologists, all the people who bring the Arctic to you, to hike with you, to be with you on Zodiacs, to be out on the deck with you, to be explaining what we're seeing, to be interpreting what's going on, and to help you anticipate that moment when something's going to happen. We've got all the goodies, we've got all the toys between the Zodiacs and the kayaks and all the undersea technology. We can bring the Arctic to you in ways other people do not. Of course, the food's phenomenal, we've already said. One of the biggest things is you can absolutely walk onto the ship with $1 in your pocket, and that's all you need. I think the last thing, and one of the biggest things for me, why I love to work with Lindblad and National Geographic, we are committed to the conservation of all of the places we go to. So I think that's about it. I can't think of any reason you wouldn't want to come with us. So I think we'll open up, we'll finish off. I'll let Carolyn finish off, and then we'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michael. Fantastic presentation so far. And just to reiterate what Michael said, your clients can join us with about $1 in their pockets and have a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Things that are included and commissionable, all accommodations, transfer to and from group flights, meals aboard ship. You can read the list. It goes on and on. And if you want to explore a bit more with Lindblad Expeditions, we have a variety of places you can do that online, numerous channels, social media, as well as our main site, expeditions.com. You can feel free to request any of our brochures or DVDs. Specifically for the Arctic, we have both brochures and DVDs, and you can check out all of the rest of our fantastic destinations. There's also a special portal for travel agents. It's expeditions.com/agents. So feel free to look there, log in, and you can see all sorts of information about rates and bookings and special tips. And I know some of you mentioned that you had a little bit of trouble hearing us or hearing Michael during the presentation. So just know that we will archive this presentation. We're also going to be giving it later this evening for general consumers. So if you want to, if you'd like to hear it then, or if you'd like to watch it at your leisure, you can go to expeditions.com/webinars, and they will all be archived there. So thank you all for listening this afternoon. We'll now address some of the questions that have come in from you all. So Michael, the first question that we have is, a lot of clients and guests are often asking from a photography perspective, will they be laughed off the ship if they bring, their iPhone or their point and shoot if they're sort of just a beginner? What would you say to that?
Oh, Carolyn, I love that question. Thank you very much. I have to tell you that literally 98 or 99% of every expedition are people who want to go home with an image, who want to take pictures. And towards that end, everybody has a camera of some type. The vast majority of people are doing exactly what you just alluded to. They're bringing their iPhone, they're bringing their iPad, they're bringing their small aim and create camera, and absolutely some of the very best images that are taken on each one of these expeditions is taken with somebody with a very small camera. It's easy to use, it's in their pocket, it's always with them. We love when people bring aim and create cameras, and the majority of people have those. Now, there's no doubt that some people are going to show up with serious camera sets, $50,000 worth of camera gear, literally huge, long glass, big tripods, all of these things. But the majority of people are actually using small cameras, and we embrace those people. We love to teach photography to them. Guaranteed we will get you to where you're using your camera way better than when you show up on a ship, even the small ones.
So along the lines of photography, there's also another question about whether or not guests should be bringing tripods or can they rent them aboard. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. We don't have rental tripods. The tripods are welcome on the ship. They're great for ashore, especially if you want to do things like time-lapse or you're looking to do big scenes and you want large separate fields. The one thing we ask with tripods, when we're in a situation where we have wildlife or we're pushing through ice, we're in a scenic area, we ask that tripods not be set up on the actual bow of the ship, the lowest level, deck level. They just have too much of a footprint. However, if you go to the bridge level above, you're welcome to set your tripods up there. So tripods are great. We do recommend that you bring them. If you're going to try to use your tripod to support a big, heavy lens and you're down on the forward deck, simply collapse the three legs. Turn your tripod into a monopod, and then you don't have the big footprint, and so other people can be around you. But absolutely bring them. Just know that they'll be up on the deck, on the bow. We ask that you not open them up when we're around wildlife.
So along the lines of the list of what to bring, there have been a few questions about what's important to pack when you're going to the Arctic, specifically footwear. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. Remember that June, July, August temperatures are going to be in the 30s and 40s. We very rarely drop below freezing, but with wind chill, it can feel like it's colder than freezing. So starting with your feet, one of the most important things to let your guests know about, let your clients know about, is that there are very few places where we'll be landing at docks or concrete piers or stairways or anything. Most landings are what we call wet landings. The Zodiac nudges up to a beach, and you go out of the Zodiac into the water, into the ocean, about 6 inches of it, before you continue hiking. And then once you're on the tundra, we're often in mud, we're crossing streams. So I would say the most important thing to make your clients aware of is good footwear. When you look at the shot that's currently in front of us, every person in that shot has proper footwear on. We love muck boots or bog boots. These are neoprene high boots that come up to just below your knee, and they're the perfect start for what you should wear. Now, in addition to that, you should have on your body, both upper and lower, a moisture-wicking lower base layer, something like capylene or polypropylene, something lightweight. Then, depending on how cold you get, a vest or a fleece. And then the outer layer should be waterproof, and that should be waterproof pants and waterproof jacket. And that can be fairly lightweight, so you can take on or off. But you want to be waterproof. And then the last thing is you're going to regulate your heat by a hat and gloves. If you're a person who just gets cold very easily, you're going to want to have a very good heavy hat and nice waterproof gloves.
Excellent. And now a question just came in asking, is there a full medical team on board? Is there a ship doctor? Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. We do have medical facilities on the National Geographic Explorer. We do have a full-time doctor on board the ship. We have a range of doctors, of course, who travel with us at different times, but they are all specialists in emergency medicine. So they have all been in the field. They're all capable and able to diagnose the standard things you would think about, but then also any kind of emergency things as well. And so, yes, we have a full-time doctor. He's got a full-time clinic there. On the ship, there is a position or a place there, and we really are well-provisioned and well-stocked. Now, there are times, of course, when things go beyond what our doctor can handle, and in some cases we do have to air evac or med evac somebody. But we really can handle a huge array of things, and so we're very well versed at that. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time in very remote parts of the world, so our doctors are all exceptional at that.
So along with that, Michael, someone just asked, is there an age limit or an age range that would be recommended or dissuaded from coming on one of the Arctic trips?
Well, the one thing you have to recognize is that the Arctic trips take place in our summer. Of course, for many families, that is their vacationing time with their kids. And so we do see kids on the trips, and we do see them with families. I wouldn't say we get a lot of kids. I mean, half a dozen kids on a trip, a dozen kids on a trip would be a lot of kids on a trip. We normally recommend that it's young, late 8, 9, 10 into early teen. And we rarely get anybody younger than that. So in the summer, absolutely, we do get some kids, but not a huge number of them.
Excellent. Thank you so much again, Michael, for joining us this afternoon to speak more about the Arctic. For those of you that have additional questions, or if you have any more information that you're looking for, whether it be the Arctic or any of the other trips that Lindblad has to offer, there's a number up on the screen there. You can feel free to contact us, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And again, the webinar will be recorded, so we'll be sending out that email within the next few days. So thank you again, Michael, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.